pasting Typeform data into Attio, there's a native integration that does it instantly. Let me show you how it works. Okay, so I'm going to assume that you already have a Typeform account, and you can just head on over to account settings or workspace settings in Attio and then go to apps and type in Typeform and then install. Okay, now it's installed, but you do need to connect an account. So accept. And done. Okay, and then I can show you what my form looks like here. So you can see I ask for their contact info, email, company. You can also see I asked for their company website. I'm assuming that in this case, what you want to happen is you want to create a company record and or a person record. And so in order to do that, you do need to ask some contact info in the form. The most important one for a person would be their email, and most important for a company would be the company website. I asked for their name because why not, their email. Phone number is pretty optional. Company, so company name, and then their company website. So that's really important. And then the other questions are kind of up to you. If you want to collect the responses to all of your other questions in Attio, then you do need to make sure you have some attributes or fields to map those responses to. But we're just keeping it simple for this video, so I'm gonna go to workflows now, new workflow. And then that's the main thing with this Typeform integration, is that now you can see that there's a button here, and that's our trigger. And that's what we're going to use. So now I'm going to do connection, select your connection, and then form, select your form. If you have multiple forms, then you'll want to create a workflow for each form. In my case, I just have this one form. So now I'm going to create a record. And then I'm going to select the object. First, I'm going to create a company record. So if you do want to create a company record and a person record, then I suggest creating the company record first, so that you can link the company on the person. And I'll show you what I mean in just a second. So create record, and then domains. What's your company website? That's the response that I want to map to domains. And then name. What's your contact info company? So assuming that they'll input the company name there. And then anything else here really depends on the questions and the information that you want to map. But in my case, I'm just going to leave what's your company website and what's your company. And then next, I'm going to create a person record. So create a person record. Object would be people. And then their name, I am going to just input their first name. The only thing that I've noticed with this is that if I input first name and last name here in this name block, or name box, I should say, then their first name and last name ends up being in the first name box, which if you're enrolling them in a sequence right away, that might not be ideal, because then you're saying, hello, Jane Smith, if you are using that in your email. So I would just suggest mapping the first name, and then if you really want to store their last name as well, then you can go back in afterwards and just input their last name. That's the only thing I've really noticed with this that's not like 100% ideal, but everything else is really seamless. And then email address, so use variable, again, will be the response that they input to email. And then company, this is where you'll link the company here. So created record, and that's why you want to create the company first. And then phone number, so again, the response to what's your phone number. And then, maybe something else that you would want to add here is, contact type, or like life cycle stage, or something along those lines. So I would just input new lead, for example. But, this is really dependent on how you work and what your workflow looks like. And then after creating a company record and creating a person record, you probably want to, add them to a list or enroll them in a sequence. And that's, totally up to you. But I'm just going to leave it here because I think the most important part of all of this is that it does automatically create the person and company. So now I'm going to publish my workflow. And now I'm going to go and fill out my test form. And 9, and then this is completely made up, by the way. Northbridge Analytics.com. I mean, there might be a company called Northbridge Analytics, but I don't know if there is. I mean, I assume there is, but I just made up this company name and this person's name. Northbridge Analytics.com. And then done. And then we'll go to our workflow and we can see if it's ran or not. Okay, it looks like it was successful. So let's see how it looks. Companies. Northbridge Analytics. Okay, great. So I can see, the name came through, the domain came through, the person came through and is associated with the company, as you can see here. And then, I input a new lead for lifecycle stage. And yeah, so basically that all came through, looks really good. And again, you might want to have another step in there where you're adding them to a list, enrolling them in some sort of workflow or sequence. Totally up to you. But I think this integration is great. It's super easy to set up. The workflow is pretty easy to set up as well. And it just really makes sure you have kind of a seamless process from form to Attio, and it doesn't require a third-party tool, which is always a win. If you learned something from this video, then please like and subscribe. And if you need one-on-one help, then feel free to schedule an intro call with me. My link and contact info is in the description. Thanks for watching.